Hello, I'm Hazy and welcome to my channel. Today's video was requested by once, twice, once, and they want to know how I edited my Sims pictures and made my thumbnails. So today I'm gonna walk you through exactly that, featuring these gorgeous Sims. Yeah, and also because of that I thought it will be interesting to give the Townies or the NPCs a makeover and edit them in Photoshop. So that is what I'm gonna do today. So yeah, here's our first Townie Makeover featuring Bella Goth. Nothing special, I just gave her a bunch of alpha CCs. I didn't change her features or anything of the sort. So if you like her look, I will have all the links to her CCs listed down below. And now, without further ado, let's go into Photoshop. Now first I'm gonna copy the screenshot of our sim here, Bella Goth, to a new file because this is supposed to be a thumbnail for my video. I'm gonna set the size to 1280 and 720 pixels. Okay, and then paste it to the new file. And now let's cut this picture out. So there's a lot of ways to cut out a subject from a picture, but my most preferable method is using the channels. I will link an in-depth tutorial for this method in this video, so if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to head over to that video. Anyway, as you can see, we have 4 channels here: RGB, red, green and blue. The key here is to select the darkest channel of them all because the dark area is the one that we want to have and the white one is the one that we want to cut out. So for this particular picture, the blue channel is the darkest and I want to darken it a bit more. So first, let's copy that layer and then use levels to darken it up, but not overly so until all the edges are covered up, because then we would have a lot of fringes and that is not what we want. So now let's select the layer by pressing Ctrl while simultaneously clicking on it, and then go to the layer section and click on mask and transfer our channel layer to the mask by pressing alternate. So we have our layer here. I'm inverting the photo so the subject is white now, and now let's use the dropper to pick up the color and cover up all the areas with the brush, but don't color in the gaps between the hairs. We don't want any whites there because we don't want that section. And yeah, this is why I like using channels, because I don't have to worry about areas like that. They won't appear in my cutout. So yeah, it's my favorite method. And now again, for easy viewing of the edges and stuff, I fill in the background with my choice of color. And what about these fringes? Okay, so one of the methods that I like to use, but I'm not going to use that for this video, but I'm going to show you an example of that, is open a new layer, right click, clipping mask, and brush the edges with the same color as the background. Let's change the blending mode to darken and voila. But this will only work if your background is lighter than your subject and if you have a solid background. So what I really like to use is the clone tool. But first, we are gonna refine the edges a bit. So duplicate the layer in case you did something wrong with it, and then click, select and refine edge. Make sure that the smooth and contrast are 100% and adjust the radius to your liking, and then you will see that the shoulders are round now, but the problem is that some of the hairs are erased as well. So here's where one of your duplicate layers come in handy, and I'm gonna use my handy dandy eraser and erase the parts that I don't want. I also use the magic wand to remove some stuff from the previous layers and just click delete, and now we have Bella with rounded shoulders. Okay, so now it's time to refine the edges of the hairs. I'm merging both of the layers together and just use a clone mask. Make sure that you click on your picture instead of the mask, and also click on alternate to pick out the area that you want to clone, and just brush over the white areas with that. You probably would need to constantly adjust the cloning area, constantly clicking on different parts of the hair so that it would appear seamless. And yeah, the keyword is appear seamless. So at this part, the hair goes at a different direction and we don't have anything similar to clone. So what I like to do is use the brush and make sure that the opacity is low. I'm using 43% currently, and just brush it along the motion. And of course you can use brush for the edges as well, you don't have to clone it, but I like to have that hair texture effect on the edges, so I did that. And I also prefer to use this clonal brush method instead of the previous method because I like the appearance of fuller hair, so that's that. But sometimes, you know, I'm too lazy to do that, which is like all the time, so I just stroke the picture. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try harder from now on. My thumbnails are gonna be better. Okay, so now I'm just gonna clean up those pixelated areas using the cloning tool so that it would look nice and solid. And now let's move on to the face editing. Okay, for that, what I like to use on normal people's photos and sim photos as well is the frequency separation action. I will link the download link and tutorial down below if you're interested. So what this essentially do is give me the texture and outline of the subject, so I can blur the original photo or do anything with it without worrying about the picture losing its texture and outline. So if I use the original picture, it will have all the saturation and depth, and I don't want that. I just want the outline and the texture without the colors and stuff. So yeah, this is very helpful for me. So I changed the original layer to overlay to deepen the colors a bit, and I also changed the opacity to 69% and fill to 72%. That's just my preferred settings for everything. And I also duplicate the high layer, which is the layer that contains the outline in case I need to use more of it later. Okay, so now use Gaussian blur on the high layer just a tiny bit as you see fit, so that it wouldn't look so harsh. And some places you don't want that effect. For example, for this Bella picture, I want only her face to appear sharp. I want the rest to look soft, so I'm cleaning the edges of her hair, her body, and I'm just leaving the high layer on her face, so the rest of it appear blurred but her face is a bit sharp. And now I duplicate the same high layer again because I wanted her face to appear sharper, and I also erase the places that I thought was too much. Alternatively, you can just untick all but the high layer and just erase it like this. That way you can really see what you're doing. Alright, now that I'm pleased with it, I'm gonna use the burn and dodge tool to sharpen and highlight a bit. So let's sharpen and contour the eyes, brows, around the nose, the lips, around the perimeter of the face, the neck, clavicle, and also highlight the nose bridge, under eyes, chin, cupid's bow, forehead, clavicle, just like what you would do with makeup. Now comes the part where we really do the contour and highlight. Just like with makeup, we are gonna start with a light hand, so I used a dropper to pick out the color of her contour, which is at her cheekbones or any place that is dark enough for you. And I use a brush that is set to 43% opacity and brush it all over the perimeter of her face and her neck, and change the blending mode to multiply. As you can see, it's not blending well, so change the opacity and fill layer to whatever is suitable. And now we are gonna use the Gaussian blur, which is probably our second best friend next to the eraser, and we are gonna blur it until it blended well with the skin. And now let's do the same with highlight under the eyes, forehead, chin, all of those areas. And then change the blending mode to soft light and adjust the opacity and fill as well, and blur it as you see fit. Or you cannot just adjust the opacity and fill if you think it looks good enough. Yeah, if it looks good, it looks good. And if you think that this blending mode is not flattering, then you can change it. Just do whatever you think is good. Yeah. And now I'm just gonna clean up a bit where I think the contour and highlights were interfering with the photo. And now we're gonna add some shadows to the background. So what I did was use the same color as the background and change the blending mode to multiply and clean it up with the eraser. But yeah, that's how I edited my Bella photo, and this is now my thumbnail. Here's the before, here's the after. Well, we've arrived at the end of the video. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for doing that, and I hope you find it useful and interesting, you know, and tell me down below if you want me to make more videos like this. Yeah, I'm not a pro whatsoever, just saying, but if you want, I can totally do that. Maybe just a simple basic tutorial, you know. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it and look forward to the next video. Until then, bye bye.